Hello folks, how is it going? Hope you are keeping well. Today's video is a bit of a nostalgic one. Bit of a sad one maybe. I think nostalgia is probably a better word than sad. It's certainly the end of an era. I'm here at my family's home, my grandmother's home, Gracelands. I wanted to bring you here for the last time to tell you a bit of a story. If you have been watching my videos for a long time, for a number of years, you know that most of my videos, many of my videos over the years have been shot right here, in this spot, in this garden. Sometimes with the house in the background, sometimes with this glorious garden in the background, sometimes with these trees in the background. This has been the kind of mainstay of many of my videos for the years. This is really where I started vlogging, was actually in this house. And I wanted to come back here today to this house because I've not been here for a while. It is my granny's house. My parents, who lived here for a number of years, I think over 10 years really, and I myself lived here for about 8 years or 5 years maybe. My grandmother, who owns this house, has put it up for sale. It's on the market, and judging by the early interest in it, it's going to sell pretty quickly. So I wanted to come back here while my granny still has it, tell you about it, give you a walkthrough, because it's quite a sad thing for the whole family really to get to see this house go, because it's been in the family for a number of years. And it's just beautiful, and also the story of how it came to be is something that's quite unique as well, so I'll tell you about that in a bit. Man, I'm going to miss this garden. So many days in the summer we used to sit out here in among these trees, sitting up high over the house and just kind of looking out over nature, even though knowing the fact that we were in Edinburgh city centre. Even all the dogs and cats we've had in the family that have grown up here, that we have loved and lost over the years. Some of them are still alive, but many of them have not. Like, if you watch the videos for a long time, you might remember Prince, our white cat, who's no longer with us. Shiloh, our golden cocker spaniel, spent his whole life basically here, almost. My brother's dog Gus, he lived here. My granny had a dog called Echo, who isn't with us anymore. My sister dog Tessie also used to live here. It's just got a special place with lots of really, really good memories. And this side of the house, my mum and dad's room was there. And the room I used to stay in is in this corner here, that window. And then this door in here takes you into the main kind of living area. I used to sit there all the time when I was working and just look out to this view, which has not changed one little bit in like the 10 or 15 years that my mum and dad have been living here. This tree has been a constant. It never seems to have grown or anything. It probably has over the years, but to me it's always been there, always been the same height, always been the provider of shade for this corner of the garden. This is where the dogs used to get out and play all the time. But really one of the best things about the house is the view from the front garden. It is absolutely amazing. The view from the front window of the house. Hear the noise of the birds. I mean, that's what I used to love. This spot right here. This spot, exactly where I am at the moment, in the back garden. It's a bit of a sun trap, and it also blocks out the wind because there's these kind of high pillars behind you. Those, by the way, behind us are apple trees. Catches the sun and blocks out the wind, so we used to always come here to sunbathe. That's exactly what we've come around today because it's just such a nice day. We decided that we wanted to come and basically lie in the sun for a few hours, but also knowing that it might be one of the last times I actually visit this house. Alright, I thought I'd finish this video by telling you a wee bit of a story because there is a story connected to this house and it is kind of interesting. And a lot of people around Edinburgh might already know this story, but they won't know all the details. And this is a very nostalgic video. It's not necessarily sad because, you know, all things come to an end and we have to move on. But it's definitely nostalgic for me and, you know, the rest of my family as well because that house meant a lot. There's a lot of symbolisation in that house. And we spent a lot of happy years there. So here's the story, right? Basically, about 20 years ago, or maybe 25 years ago now, my grandparents used to own a really popular camping site in Edinburgh, Little France Caravan Park, which was literally just on the edge of the city in those days. Nowadays, the city's kind of swallowed up that whole region where the campsite was, but in those days, it was kind of like just on the edge of the city. Within a 10 or 15 minute commute of the city centre. Perfect location for a campsite. And it used to be very popular, especially around the festival time when lots of people thought, I'm not going to stay in an expensive hotel, I'm going to stay in a campsite. So it was great fun for that. But at some point, the council in Edinburgh, the City of Edinburgh Council decided that they wanted to buy the land and do a compulsory purchase because they wanted to build a new hospital, and they chose that location, Little France, which has all kinds of amazing history attached to it, but I won't go on to that in today's video. They chose Little France, where the campsite was, exactly as the location for the new hospital, which is the new Royal Infirmary Hospital in Edinburgh, the main hospital in Edinburgh now. So they did that, they did a compulsory purchase, and my grandparents were needing to find a new home. And literally, my grandfather, he walked out of the campsite, went up the street a few hundred metres to a house that he'd always admired and knocked on the door and said, listen, I've always admired your house. Would you consider selling it? And it just so happens that people who lived there at the time were wanting to move as well. And they agreed, and my grandfather bought it basically there and then. There's probably a lot of other details involved in that, but that's the short story. And it's called Gracelands. My grandfather called the house Gracelands because he was a massive fan of Elvis Presley. He even travelled to Graceland, the real Graceland, in Memphis, Tennessee, to see his idol's home. And you know what? The house in Edinburgh didn't look anything like the real Graceland. But there you go. He named it Gracelands after Graceland in America because he was such a fan of Elvis. But that was their new home. And like I said, this was like going back 20, 25 years. But the house has some other cool history. So I think back in the 70s, Kellogg's, which is the company that does all the cereal, like cornflakes and stuff. I think Kellogg's is known around the world, alright? Let me know in the comments. Do you eat Kellogg's? Here in the UK, Kellogg's is the main manufacturer of cereals. Back in the 70s, they used to do all kinds of weird experimental advertisements and giveaways. And in the 70s, one of the giveaways that they did, which was advertised on the back of the cereal box, was that someone could win a house. It wasn't just one house, I think it was several houses around the UK. But in Edinburgh, it was this one house. And basically, whoever won, I think this is the legend, alright? And everybody in Edinburgh knows this. Well, everybody from that part of town from a certain generation knows this story. My generation and younger don't know about this, but that house is known as the Kellogg's house because someone won a competition on the back of a box of cornflakes that they could get their own house. And it wasn't just get their own house. There was like an architect that would come and build their dream home. And that is how that house came to be in the 70s. And the house has a unique architecture layout because of that, a 70s style. But that story survived the generations because years and years into the future, a lot of people would come up to us and say, well, you know, way in the future, you live in the Kellogg's house. So basically, all the people from the 70s generation knew that house as a Kellogg's house, and it was a famous house in those days. And that is a legend that has survived in Edinburgh until today. There's still people who know that house as the Kellogg's house. So, you know, for the last 25 years or something, I can't remember exactly the dates, my grandparents would have moved in early 90s. So, you know, 20, 30 years, something like that. And they've owned the house, the Kellogg's house, and, you know, a lot of people, like I said, still know it as the Kellogg's house. Our family, you know, basically most members of our family have at some point lived in that house as well. I think throughout the years, after the original person won it, it was sold to an ambassador's house. As an ambassador's house, I think it was the resident of one of the ambassadors from maybe Russia or something like that, and there was lots of secret compartments with wires hidden in it at some point whenever my grandparents moved in, but I'm not sure exactly if that story is true, but that was one of the rumours as well. You know, lots of cool stories about that house, but, you know, one of the main ones was it was a Kellogg's house. Beautiful house, as you've seen from the pictures, lovely garden and yards, but now, sadly, it's no longer in the family. You know, I was sad about this at the time when it first happened, but I think the overriding feeling is nostalgia. I've got so many memories from that house. My family have all got so many memories from that house. Basically, a lot of us as kids grew up there and spent a lot of time there with our various pets, my grandparents' various pets over the years as well, and playing in the garden, playing football in the garden and all the rest of it. It was just a great place, a warm place that we, you know, spent many happy years. But now it's over. Like I said, many good things, all good things come to an end, right? And I wanted to make this video to kind of document that. That's why I have this YouTube channel after all, is that I talk to you guys, my audience, about things that go on in my life, big important events that, you know, one day these videos will exist on YouTube, you know, maybe 50, 100 years from now, and this will be a document of the story. Somebody will come across this video and they want to learn about that house. This will be a diary, and so I'm passing those stories on that I know about the house to other people. That's what's great about the internet. You know, you can create a diary of things that live forever, and that's why I love doing these videos on YouTube. But sad times, yeah, my granny moved out, the rest of the family's all moved out, and we're all pretty happy. And you guys know, if you've been watching my videos over the last year, myself and Tekka, we bought a flat here in Portobello in Edinburgh last year, and it's great. I love Portobello. It's a great neighbourhood. But you know, one thing thinking about that house is I have to remember my grandfather, who sadly died a few years after buying the house of cancer. That was such a tough thing for me when I was growing up and being younger and stuff. But, you know, I wear his ring on this finger here, kind of stuck on pretty good there, and I wear that ring as a reminder of what hard work can achieve. You know, my grandfather, he worked all his life building businesses and selling them until he eventually got to the campsite and then to a point where he could retire. And I wear this ring as a reminder, you know, if you work hard, you never know how far it'll take you. So I always want to work hard. It was an inspiring thing for me to learn about my grandfather and know all the things he did and he achieved for the family over the years. And it's something that, you know, I really look up to and aspire to as well. And in that theme of kind of looking up to my grandfather, who was a grafter and a hard worker, you know, I have to look at the tools I've got at my disposal in the modern age. You know, very different times when my grandfather grew up. He had to, you know, work with his hands and do businesses, you know, the good old-fashioned way. But for me, I'm very inspired by his story, and I want to be an entrepreneur as well, which I have successfully achieved, you know, through this YouTube channel and the rest of it. You know, we have to look at the digital ways of making money and being an entrepreneur, which is why this YouTube channel has meant so much to me, because it has provided me the different opportunities to do different things. And one of the things I've been thinking is, you know, in one of my most recent videos, it was my sister's wedding, and I did the video for my sister. I got, you know, literally thousands of comments on that video, and really, really amazing comments from people who watch my channel. And I just want to say thank you to all of you who made those comments. But the comments were, obviously, that was a beautiful wedding ceremony, but also a lot of people gave me massive encouragement and said, you know, they loved the video that I made. They thought it was really special and really, really well put together. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe, you know, one of my side hustles that I do could be that I could produce those videos exactly the same as I did for my sister's wedding. The link will be down below, by the way. Maybe I can make those type of videos for other couples and share that, because, you know, I do have, you know, one of the things, and I don't say this to be big-headed, but I do have a bit of a knack for storytelling in video format and making videos and telling the stories that way, you know, and making it look really good and beautiful. And that's, you know, what I did in my sister's wedding video that so many of you guys left really, really, you know, amazing comments on. So I'm thinking of, you know, offering that as a service to other people. And I'd like to know your thoughts on that. It could be an avenue that, you know, I use as a bit of a, like I said, a side hustle, something that I do now and again. And I can put really good videos together, and maybe I could put a really good video together for one of your loved ones. Maybe one of your relatives are getting married, and would like a really great video made by me, you know, shot and edited by me, maybe that's something I could do for them. So let me know, do you have any relatives, you know, maybe son, daughter, or cousins, or nephews and nieces, or anyone you know is getting married, or maybe you would even like to do in a kind of elopement video, or a video where, you know, you're coming with your partner to Scotland and you want to do some kind of like 10-year anniversary, 20-year anniversary. And by the way, this doesn't have to be in Scotland, this could be anywhere. I can travel all around Europe or the Americas to do these videos of people's weddings. I just think this could be a cool thing because I really enjoyed putting my sister's wedding video together, and I got so many great comments of people who loved it, and I think I could spread that and provide that to other people who would like something similar for their big day. So I'd love to know your thoughts. This is just an early, I'm just very early in the process of thinking about doing this and how I would go about doing it, and, you know, making a website and all the rest of it. But basically I would love to know your thoughts, you know, either down in the comments below, or I will provide my email address down below and you can get in touch and let me know your thoughts basically. That is it for today's video. I wanted to tell you this story. I have been off YouTube now for a solid month. I've been taking a bit of time off because I just needed it. It has been a crazy period with COVID and all the rest of it. And, you know, hopefully we're coming out the other end of it, but I needed a break. I needed a really good break, and I've had it now, and I've got some really good videos going to be coming up for you guys really soon, and I'm excited about putting more stuff together. So don't worry, I have taken a break. It has been a bit of a while, but I'm back with new videos on a weekly basis, and let's just get out there and get creating. And I really appreciate you guys. I really appreciate all the comments and the likes that you put on these videos, the thumbs up, and everything you do. It just really, you know, warms my heart, and I appreciate it. So hopefully you enjoyed today's story, and until the next adventure, hope you have a good night, morning, evening, afternoon, or whatever time of day it is wherever you are in the world. Take care.